write legibly either your name, your license number, or your email and phone number. Otherwise, it's going to be hard for me to track you down. I have been in title and escrow for about 18 years as a account executive, sales executive. So my background's in advertising and marketing, and so if you kind of wonder what, we have great, fabulous escrow officers, but if you kind of wonder what your sales executive does for you, give me a call, give your Chicago Title sales executive a call. If you're not here in the Lake Oswego area, that's who I represent. And we'll let you kind of know what we can do to help build your business. So other than that, I'm going to go ahead and hand it over to Certified Environmental. So I'm going to go ahead and introduce and thank you so much for coming and giving all this great information. And one thing, I love doing classes, not just for the information, but also so you have great vendors to rely on in your business. So, and these guys are highly recommended.
And thank you, Kim.
Thanks, Jeff.
I'm Tracy. I am the business development person for our real estate division of Certified Indoor Environmental. Some of you that have been around for a little while, you might know us as Certified Mold Cleaning. That was our name until about, I guess, almost a year and a half ago now, when we rebranded to better represent our services. We do indoor air quality, we do mold remediation, we do all kinds of stuff. And so, also we do a lot of property management. If any of you guys work with property management type sales, commercial sales, yes. And they're a little sketchy about having that word mold in the name. So we changed our name so we are not messing, freaking in tenants out when we drive up. We've been in business since 2011. We service all the way from Vancouver down to Salem Metro and out to the coast. So any of your transactions we can take care of you on almost. Let's see, we are woman-owned and locally owned. Mark Patako here is our owner, and he's probably
wait a minute, woman-owned, and then you say it's me.
I said one of them. Yeah, he is one of them. His wife is actually the more important owner. But Mark is probably one of the foremost experts on mold and indoor air quality in the area. He started the business himself, doing everything from the inspections to the work to the remediation, all the way up to where he is now, where we have lots of people that do it for us. So, no further ado, I'm going to send it over to Mark, and he's going to teach you all about advanced mold classes, so you can talk your butt off the bench.
Thanks, Jason. Good morning.
Morning.
A little background information about myself. I used to be a loan officer with a company called Northwest Mortgage. So anybody's been in the business a long time, they might recognize that name. Then it was Wells Fargo, then it was GMAC Mortgage. Then we had the banking crisis. I decided, maybe I'll try something new. So I started doing mold remediation. I have no idea why. But we've done, probably in the last 5 years, close to 10,000 inspections. So we do a lot of mold. When you just think about that number, we do over 2,000 inspections a year. Most of those are for the real estate community. Most of the time it's up in the attic. So we started doing these classes for the real estate community for one reason only. We were starting to go out there and do the inspection, and our job is always to identify the cause of the mold, because if we don't fix it, what happens?
Keeps growing.
It keeps coming back. And so we were always writing these estimates out there, and the estimates were basically, hey, you need to fix the ventilation. And the seller was going, I'm not going to fix that. They didn't put it in the repair addendum. Okay, so we wanted to start educating the realtors who represent buyers. Basically, you need to put certain language in that repair addendum to protect your buyers. Because here's what we were getting in. Hire a professional mold remediation contractor to remove the mold. Does that sound pretty familiar? Okay, guess what? No such thing. State of Oregon, you don't have to be licensed to do mold remediation. You could basically be John, the handyman, going up there and saying, hey, I'm a professional mold remediation contractor, and basically painting everything over with kilns. Only Florida, Texas, New York require licensing. That's it. But the real estate community thought they're putting something in the repair addendum to protect the buyer. Hey, you need a professional. Well, there's no such thing in the state of Oregon. The second thing we noticed on these repair addendums, there was no verbiage in there to identify the cause and fix it. So guess what's happening? It's all coming back. All right. So we'll go over a lot of things that will show you where the mold's coming back and why. All right. So that's why we started the classes. All right. Let's get started. Let's go over some mold facts. Mold basically has been around for about 750 million years. During that period of time, it hasn't changed. All right. Nobody knows exactly how many species of mold exist today, but there's tens of thousands of different species. In fact, right now you guys are breathing mold spores, all right? Anybody getting sick in this room? All right? All right, that's because it's not high enough to cause a health issue. We'll cover that in a second. Mold are virtually found everywhere. Some are good, some are bad, but very few mold is actually toxic, all right? Most people, when they think about mold, they see black mold, all of a sudden they start thinking about black toxic mold, all right? That's because the industry has been basically trained to scare people into action. And if you really understand mold, you understand it's not that scary, all right? Okay. Let's go over some facts of what makes mold grow. If you understand what makes mold grow, then you understand how to prevent it from coming back, okay? Pretty simple. So mold needs one thing to grow. It needs moisture or high humidity. You take away moisture and high humidity, you'll never have mold grow. It's pretty simple, all right? You can have everything else. You can have the right temperature, you can have a food source, but if you don't have any moisture, you'll never have mold grow. All right, it's that simple. All right, so when we talk about moisture sources, where in a structure would we have like high humidity? Attic? Bathrooms, right? So if that bath fan isn't properly functioning, and people are showering and so forth, we get a lot of humidity in those bathrooms, and in some cases enough humidity, if it's above 60%, over a period of time, we can start having mold growth. Do you guys know how to check to see if your bath fans work? Okay. Huh?
Turn them on.
Turn them on?
Put a piece of toilet paper in there and see if it sucks it up.
Yeah, that's one of the ways that the industry has been taught. We have actually a better way than doing that, because I have a lot of bath fans that don't function and they'll hold that toilet paper. Best way to do it, we teach our inspectors to do this. Just go take a shower, okay? And I'm kind of kidding. We don't tell them to take a shower. Kind of weird, all right? But we basically tell them to go in and simulate a shower, all right? Turn the bath fan on, turn the shower on to hot, close the door, let it run for about 5 minutes. After that period of time, we'll know whether or not that mirror is fogging up or whether there's swirling mist in there, okay? So that's just a really easy way to make sure that they're functioning. Food needs mold needs what we call an organic food source. So if you have moisture, now you need a food source, all right? And it has to be organic. So if we look around in this room, you know, windows are inorganic. It's not a food source on it, all right? Let's say this linoleum here, it's not really a food source, okay? Your tile, your cement, all of those things are inorganic. It's not a food source. Now, that being said, how many people here have seen mold on windows? Yeah, pretty much all of us. What about tile? Maybe in our bathrooms or showers?
Yep.
So if we don't keep those surfaces clean, over time they'll develop a biofilm, all right? And so the mold leaches onto the biofilm. As a company, we get calls probably on a daily basis, hey, we got mold on our windows, can you guys come out and clean our windows of the mold, all right? And that's the truth. They can do that on all. We hate doing windows as a company, so we actually educate them on, if you keep your windows clean, all right, then you won't have recurrent mold growth on them, okay? So it's really a cleaning issue. Mold loves drywall, all right? But it only grows on the paint and the paper. It doesn't grow in the gypsum. It's just growing on the paint and the paper. Mold has what we call a root structure. That root structure is called hyphae. All right, so it actually grows into the paint and the paper, just like it does in the wood framing. If you had up in attics or the sheathing, it'll actually grow into that framing. And that root structure or hyphae needs to be removed. All right. Here's a quick video. If we have mold, let's say up here in the corner, all right, those colony of mold is going to produce spores. Those spores aren't just going to stay right here. They're going to basically float around this room. And if you have ductwork or duct system, it could potentially cross-contaminate the rest of the structure. Doesn't mean it will, but just understand that mold just doesn't stay right in this area. They're going to float on the currents. This is aspergillus underneath the microscope. And yes, if you send us an email, we'll send this to you. It makes a great presentation for your video. as a screensaver. As I said earlier, there's a root structure called hyphae. That hyphae needs to be removed. I'll show you here in just a second. Right down here, that's your hyphae. And that just grows into the framing, the drywall. It needs to be removed.
How do you spell hyphae?
Hyphae. We do have pickles in the back room if anybody wants them. Alright. So we understand what causes mold, alright? And we know if we correct that, it won't come back. Alright? But if you understand what the health effects of mold are, they don't understand how the EPA came up with the mold remediation protocols. Alright? How many people here have allergies? Okay? How many people here know somebody with really, really severe allergies? Pretty much everybody, right? Now, some of you may have allergies to pollen, some of you might have allergies to pet dander, some people may have allergens to dust mites, all right? Everybody can have allergens to different things, correct? Mm-hmm. And depending on how much exposure you have, the more severe sometimes your reactions are, okay? So, according to the CDC, if you're exposed to mold, normal, healthy adults are going to have hay fever-like symptoms. Normal, healthy adults. Okay? If you're a young child and your lungs aren't developed, you can have more severe results. If you're elderly and your lung capacity is reduced, you can have more severe results. Or if you have an immune compromised system, obviously you can have more severe results. But normal, healthy adults, hay fever-like symptoms. Yeah.
Oh, I guess I'm in the older category. But I lived in a house that had a lot of mold,
sure,
and did have it tested, and it did have the stachybotrys and all different kinds. And obviously it's outside as well. But with my system, I lived there for about 9.5 years. I did have memory loss. I did have the achy bones, and it would happen at the same time. Along with my partner, he didn't believe it was the mold, and it was a triple wide trailer, so it did have molds. It was an older trailer, or mobile home. But I would always say to him, "Are you feeling really achy bones right now, runny nose and everything?" And we both had it always at the same time when it was sporing.
Right.
And but it also went into my lungs. I got asthma, and I had memory loss really bad. When I finally left the man and moved out, within 6 months, I got my memory back, my breathing was better, but I lived with that for years. So, I mean, it does, and I'm a fairly healthy adult,
yeah,
but it did affect me.
Yeah, I mean, that's prolonged exposure too.
Exactly, prolonged exposure.
Yeah, the longer you're exposed to it, the more issues you can develop. So, the other thing the CDC has determined that once the mold's been removed, okay, or you've left the structure, your symptoms will typically dissipate and go away, okay? But if you're exposed to it and you're living in those conditions, yeah, your symptoms can become more hazardous than just hay fever-like symptoms. All right. Now, there are tens of thousands of species of mold, okay? Just like people have exposure to pollens, give them a reaction, or pet dander gives them a reaction, certain species of mold will give an individual a reaction, okay? So, in our profession, all mold is potentially dangerous because we don't know who's going to be exposed to it. We don't know what individual may have a reaction to that species of mold, okay? So all mold is dangerous. All right. Mold testing. You guys have a home inspection, it comes back, and it has this black staining up in the attic. you guys think we should have that tested?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay? Why?
Did you say black?
Yeah,
Yeah, there's black mold in it.
yeah, that's the color of it.
Yeah.
All right, but why do I need to have it tested?
We don't know what it is, we don't know if it's something that can easily, liability.
Well,
It shouldn't be, well, first of all, it shouldn't be there, it's not getting it out
yeah,
of circulation.
first of all,
Yeah.
anybody who does
What's
mold
causing it?
remediation, all right, will tell you that's mold.
Yeah.
Okay, so let's just assume we know it's mold, but that's an excuse that, there's a lot of companies that do testing for mold, and they'll basically tell you, I don't know if it's mold, I need to test for it. Okay? The CDC basically says, and the EPA basically says, if you have visible mold, you don't need to test for it. All right? So if I have mold on the wall here, all right, I don't need to test for it. It's mold. They came out with those protocols because a lot of companies are just saying, well, I need to test for it to see what type it is. Well, it doesn't. All mold is potentially dangerous, so all mold needs to be removed. The other thing that they'll say is, well, you need to know what type it is in order to properly remediate it. It doesn't matter whether it's the black toxic mold, the Stachybotrys that they're talking about, or an Aspergillus, a penicillium, or all the other fancy words I learned. All right, the remediation protocols are the same. All right. So if you have visible mold, don't waste your client's money on testing up front. All right, pay to have it remediated.
Okay.
Yes.
What if you're representing seller, and seller filling out a disclosure statement, let's say there is some white residue in the attic, is the seller should say mold and scare the buyer away, or should they say mildew, or how would you describe it?
Well, if I'm a seller and, you know, there's potential mold up in the attic, as a seller, I'm not an expert, I didn't have it tested with the home inspection.
So what
Call
would
it
you
out or
say?
have it treated. Huh?
How would you disclose it, as what?
Well, what's to disclose? Do you know it's mold?
No, that's why I'm asking, what's the best way to disclose it to the buyer that there is something in the attic?
Well, I don't, you know, that's up to, I'm not a real estate person, okay? But from my point is, you know, that owner of the property doesn't know whether it's mold. You know, what are you gonna disclose? I mean, that's what I'm asking. That's, take that out of my realm and ask that among yourselves, okay? Usually the home inspector's gonna call it out. Yeah.
Right, and that's what the inspector's gonna do.
Yeah, so, you know, unless I know I have an event, I don't think you have to disclose that. But
Right.
that's, I'm not a realtor, so I don't know what your rules are. So, regarding testing or not testing, if you have mold visible, don't waste your money on testing it. Spend your money on remediating it, okay? There's always exceptions to everything. Common sense goes a long ways. If I have a bunch of kitchen cabinets and I have mold behind those, I ripped everything out, and I see mold there, I'm probably not going to test up front that I have mold, all right? I know it's there, it's gotta be remediated. But I may wanna do what we call a post-clearance test. Make sure it's safe to reoccupy that building. So every once in a while, we'll run into a homeowner who's selling their home, all right? They have us come in and do the remediation. Well, we're gonna do a post-clearance test, so they have something in their file showing that it's been done correctly, okay? That's important. But I'm not gonna test up front, I know it's mold. I'm gonna test afterwards to make sure that that contractor did their job correctly, okay? We do a lot with landlord-tenant disputes. You know, there are a lot of tenants out there that create mold, all right, so they can get rent concessions. And there are some landlords that quite honestly are slumlords and they don't bother taking care of the mold. And so the tenants want us to come out and do testing, all right? So that's when they may want to do it for a legal reason, all right, to actually determine that there's a mold issue. But for most of us as homeowners and so forth, we don't need to test for it. We're not looking for a legal identification of the mold. All right. One of the things I want you guys to be aware of, there are home inspectors out there now that are offering to sample for mold in a house.